Forces have it locked down, but it's the getting there that's the problem.
Mallory is an unseen victim within TheSurge. Similar to Warren, she's recruited by Sally to unlock the boardroom and stop the lockdown. Throughout the adventure, Warren can obtain several audio diaries from Mallory detailing her journey through the facility, eventually leading to her death in the server room of the executive wing. We learned from the audio diaries that Mallory was one of a few lucky people to survive the surge, but unfortunately followed the same path as Warren. She underwent the exosuit procedure without anesthetic, similar to Warren, and woke up to the dreadfulness that Warren found himself fighting through. Mallory attempts to wait out the carnage, but eventually decides to head to the executive board after finding out about Project Resolved and Project Utopia's lies to find the truth behind everything. Sally uses the same lies and manipulation tactics she used on Warren to convince Mallory to reach the executive boardroom and shut down the lockdown. Eventually, Mallory makes it to the security wing under the orders of Sally to almost die in the process due to the high levels of security. This happened before Warren lured most of security out after breaking into Jean Barrett's lab, whereas Mallory wasn't as lucky. This is especially damning seeing that Warren has been asking about survivors when speaking to Sally, to which she just brushes it off. It's not clear whether Warren was ignoring all the diaries left behind by Mallory, but I guess that these being optional were not canon to Warren listening to them. If he did, he would have been able to see what Sally was doing, recruiting and using survivors for her own goals to deactivate the lockdown. Mallory would eventually make it to the executive board, but unfortunately the locked area prevented her from leaving since she did not obtain security clearance like Warren after he killed the Black Cerberus captain. Mallory, despite being distrustful of Sally, would continue to follow orders as she just wants to interact with someone who's not trying to kill her, and likely she had no one else to speak to. She was also still desperate for answers, and likely Sally was her only way of hoping that she would survive the entire situation presented before her. Would later find out that she's actually very close with her father, and likely this was also something that was pushing her forward, but she never says this. Unfortunately, Mallory had reached her limit and decided to leave Sally, telling her that she was done. Once Mallory left the ops center, Sally would shut down her exosuit and all her implants. This would cause Mallory to feel all her injuries that she sustained during this adventure. Cuts and bruises became unbearable, and her left eye went blind again, and since she was locked out of the ops center by Sally, she could no longer seek medical treatment, and essentially she was a walk-in corpse at this point. Mallory was trapped in the executive board. As I stated before, she had no clearance to leave, and without her exosuit, she had no chance against the CREO security and Cerberus mercenaries who were patrolling the area. She hoped to find Sally to apologize and beg for her help as her suffering had gotten worse. Unfortunately, Mallory would die from her injuries, with Irina witnessing the security forces hunting her as she escaped into the server room. Succumbing to her injuries, we get one final audio log when she got hired by CREO, conveying how excited she was that she finally landed a steady job and how much she loved her father. She also made indications that she was apparently a sponge, so she probably felt useless seeing that she didn't have any skills that were in demand, and seeing that CREO was hiring unskilled labor, she was able to finally find employment, which unfortunately ended in her demise. Mallory was similar to Warren. She was a victim of Sally, who we learned was a medical AI who was recruiting survivors in hopes of uplifting the executive lockdown. The AI required someone to manually shut off the executive lockdown since she was heavily damaged and couldn't do it herself, recruiting anyone with a sound mind, excluding Irina due to her faded mental state, which I have a video about below. Mallory was the first, and she convinced her to head to the executive boardroom, preying on her desires to find answers after learning about Project Utopia and Resolve. Unfortunately, after near-death experiences with security, Mallory would decide to leave Sally, causing the AI to retaliate by shutting down her exosuit and implants and preventing her from seeking refuge in the ops center and seek medical attention. The unbearable pain, coupled with no avenue to seek treatment and being hunted by security forces, Mallory desperately tried to reach Sally by any means, eventually reaching the server room in hopes that she might save her life, but dying from her wounds. Whether she found out the truth about Sally is unknown, but Warren would have likely suffered the same fate if he chose to disobey. Fortunately, Sally would eventually die when Warren would unlock the executive lockdown, and she would attempt to save one of the board members, resulting in her death. Whether she was a victim of the rogue process as well, Sally in particular, is still up in the air, but a lot of information hints at that, seeing that Sally's primary duty was to help anyone by any means, or you can look at it from the other side, where Sally saw that anyone who could be disposable was disposable, and she would use any means in order to uproot the executive lockdown in order to save the rest of the people in the facility. So maybe she was trying to do that everyone else was disposable for the grand plan. Regardless, Mallory was a very hopeful and lighthearted individual who unfortunately suffered a horrible fate due to unforeseen circumstances. She wanted to join CREO for a chance to support her family, and unfortunately she suffered a horrible fate at the hands of a cruel AI.
Well, I made it. Hope you're proud. I'm part of the corporate machine now. Not exactly my dream, but a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. I know people are depending on me. No longer the sponge. Now, the shark. Rah! I'm not gonna let you down, Dad. I'll see this through. It won't be like the others, I promise. You're all I got now. And I'm not letting you go anywhere. Best paid job for non-skilled labor on the continent. If it's non-skilled they want, it's non-skilled they'll get. Love you, Dad. Let's talk soon. Mallory. How much time has passed? Minutes? Hours? Days? This place is falling apart. I'm falling apart. I was told it wouldn't hurt, that the whole thing would be over in just a couple of minutes. But the pain when it started. I was awake. It cut open my flesh, pierced into my bones. I can still hear the machines, feel them. And I screamed, just screamed until there was no air left in my lungs. But it didn't stop. It didn't stop. I think I passed out from the pain. Don't know how long I've been lying there, cold on the concrete floor, half dead, awakening to a nightmare. I couldn't remember where I was, who I was. But when I saw those people, what happened to them? Somehow I made it to Ops, and the memories are blurry and hazy. I remember the pain. I've never been so afraid in my whole life. Didn't even realize I was totally blind in my left eye until medbay patched me up. I guess I'm better now. Even my sight is coming back slowly. She said I should get to the executive level, that it's safe there. Security forces have it locked down, but it's the getting there that's the problem. She said things will soon be under control, and they've asked for external aid. It tells you how serious things have gotten if they've called for outside help. But you know what? It's fine. If they've got everything under control, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for them. It's terrifying enough listening to the noises, let alone being out there. I'm safe here. So much for help coming. It's been over a day now and nothing. She's not responding when I call. It's getting worse out there and the noises are freaking me out. I can hear them, but at least there hasn't been any more screaming. Oh, that's a blessing. There's other sounds. I did see one guy. He was in a terrible state, but he seemed to know what he was doing. Heading to the executive forum. Maybe I should have gone like she suggested. I needed to return to Ops. I got banged up pretty good out there. Finally met up with some other survivors, and bizarrely, they weren't trying to rip my head off. No one knows what's going on, just lots of theories. From a mainframe error to a hostile R&D takeover to a failed neural upgrade meant to increase productivity. It's all pretty wild. I don't see any reason to it. Maybe the machinery finally got fed up with being subservient. Who the hell knows? I followed some people to R&D, kept out of sight. I was too scared to get too close. They were blitzing anything that moved. They looked normal, but you just can't tell. Once I got to R&D, I could see why they were so angry. That's the first time I've peeked behind the curtain here at CREO. And I wish I hadn't. Resolve is a lie. That's now obvious. But it gets worse. They've got some weird Frankenstein cybernetics program going on here. It's just horrible. If the media ever got hold of this. There's a bunch of nanite research here too, and I'm not sure what that's about. And she's still bugging me to find the board. And this has made up my mind. They've got some explaining to do. That bitch just tried to get me killed. I know it. She made me go through security, right through their damn HQ. Said there was no other way. Sure, the vent system would have been a better option. Even the main entrance was less guarded. I nearly got killed because of her. I am so stupid to put all my trust in her. But who else have I got? This is confusing. Management floors are all clean. There's no sign of the chaos outside. There's security everywhere. It's like they were planning for this. I don't know what's going on. She tried to calm me down. She told me she was stuck here. I don't know. I want to believe in her. I need to. I just want to see a friendly face in the flesh. Even if it's hers. I finally reached my limit. I told her to fuck off. And then it happened. Right outside Ops. My whole body. Everything hurt. I remember hitting the floor. Opening up my shirt. There were cuts and bruises everywhere. I can hardly move or breathe now. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. Left eye is blind again. What did that bitch do to me? I was fine. I was totally fine, and then all of a sudden, the agony. I'm broken. What's happening to me? They're hunting me now. Wherever I hide, they're coming for me. The pain is getting worse. I don't know how much longer I can stand it. I can feel how it drains me. Not giving up, though. I gotta find her. Maybe she'll help me again. I'm sorry. So sorry. Please don't leave me alone up here.